The notification on my phone lit up at 11:47 p.m. It was a Facebook post, tagged, my name, my face. A photo Linda had taken without asking, showing my basement shelves lined with canned goods, water jugs, and dried beans in airtight containers. The caption read, "My ex-husband's mental illness is getting worse. Pray for him. This is what hoarding looks like." I sat there in my recliner in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the lamp beside me casting long shadows across the living room. My chest tightened. Not from anger, not exactly. It was something deeper. Disappointment, maybe. Or the exhaustion that comes from being misunderstood by someone you once loved. I scrolled through the comments, 53 of them already. Laughing emojis, crying faces. That's insane. He needs help. Classic prepper psychosis. Linda's friends were piling on. Every single one of them. People I'd barbecued with. People whose kids I'd coached in Little League. Now they were calling me paranoid. Sick. A hoarder who needed therapy. I set the phone down and rubbed my face. The grey stubble on my jaw scratched against my palms. My hands were rough, scarred from years of work. Electrical engineer. Retired now. 32 years with the same company. I'd built systems that kept hospitals running during storms. I'd designed backup generators for schools. And yet, to Linda and her circle, I was the crazy one. The thing is, I wasn't surprised. This wasn't the first time. When we were married, she'd roll her eyes every time I brought home extra cans of soup. "Steve, we're not living through the Great Depression," she'd say, her voice dripping with condescension. "You need to let go of this fear." But it wasn't fear. It was preparation. There's a difference. I got up and walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, tap water, cold and clean. I wondered how long people took that for granted. How long before they'd realized that everything they depended on was more fragile than they thought. The next morning I went to the hardware store. I needed screws for a project I was working on in the garage. The checkout clerk, a young woman named Amy, glanced at me and then quickly looked away. She'd seen the post, I could tell. Her hands fumbled with the register and she avoided eye contact. When she handed me the receipt, she mumbled, "Have a good day." But there was pity in her voice. Or maybe it was fear. Like whatever I had might be contagious. I drove home through streets I'd known for 40 years, past the elementary school where I'd volunteered as a crossing guard, past the church where Linda and I got married, past the diner where we used to take the kids every Sunday after service. Those kids, Emma and Jacob, not mine by blood, but mine in every way that mattered. I'd raised them from the time they were 6 and 8, taught them how to ride bikes, helped with homework, walked Emma down the aisle at her wedding 3 years ago. And now, because their mother had decided I was broken, I was the family embarrassment. 2 weeks passed. The post stayed up. More comments, more shares. Someone made a meme out of my photo. Doomsday Steve and his bunker of shame. It spread beyond Linda's circle. People in town recognized me. Some laughed, others whispered. I kept to myself. Finished the project in my garage. Tended to my small vegetable garden out back. Rotated the stock in my basement like I always did. First in, first out. Nothing went to waste. Everything had a purpose. Then, on a Tuesday in late September, the news broke. A cyber attack on the national supply chain infrastructure. Coordinated, sophisticated. It hit distribution centers, trucking logistics, payment systems. Within 48 hours, grocery stores across the Midwest started running low. By the end of the week, the shelves in Cedar Rapids were empty. Bare metal racks where bread used to be. No milk, no eggs, no canned goods, nothing. People panicked. I watched it unfold from my living room. The news showed footage of fights breaking out in parking lots. A man in Des Moines punched another man over the last package of chicken. A woman in Davenport broke down crying in the produce aisle, her 2 children clinging to her legs. The reporter said it could take weeks to restore the supply chain, maybe longer. I didn't panic. I walked down to my basement and took inventory. 3 months worth of food, maybe 4 if I stretched it. Rice, beans, canned vegetables, canned meats, pasta, flour, sugar, salt, cooking oil, water filtration system I'd installed last year, propane for the backup stove, batteries, flashlights, first aid supplies. I wasn't gloating. That's not who I am. But I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a small quiet voice in the back of my mind that whispered, "You were right." Not in a triumphant way, more like a sad, resigned acknowledgement. I was right, and no one listened. On the 10th day of the crisis, my phone rang. The number was familiar. Linda. I stared at it for 3 rings before answering. Hello. Her voice was shaking. Steve. A pause. I need to talk to you. Another pause. Longer this time. I could hear her breathing, uneven and shallow. It's about the kids. My stomach dropped. What's wrong? We're out of food, Steve. The stores are empty. I've been trying to get groceries delivered, but everything's sold out or delayed indefinitely. Emma's baby, she's only 6 months old. The formula's gone. Jacob's family, his wife just had surgery last month and they can't find anything. And my pantry, her voice cracked. I didn't prepare. I didn't think. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. I closed my eyes and saw Emma's daughter, little Sophie, round cheeks, big brown eyes. She didn't deserve to suffer because her grandmother was too proud to listen. And honestly, by the time you're hearing a story like this, you're probably wondering whether people ever really change or whether pride just runs too deep. If you've ever been in a situation where someone refused to see reason until it was almost too late, please subscribe to this channel and like this video. It helps us bring real, impactful stories to more people who need to hear them. Now, back to what happened next. How bad is it? I asked, my voice steady. Steve, I haven't eaten a real meal in 3 days. I've been giving what little I have to Emma and Jacob, but it's running out. I tried to ask neighbors, but everyone's in the same situation. She took a deep breath. I know I said terrible things about you. I know I posted that picture. I was wrong. I was so wrong. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But please, if you have anything at all. I didn't make her beg. I'll bring some supplies over tomorrow morning. Silence. Then a choked sob. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. I don't deserve. It's not about what you deserve, I said, cutting her off. It's about taking care of the people I love. I hung up and sat there for a long time, staring at the wall. The lamp beside me flickered slightly. Outside, the wind rattled the windows. Autumn in Iowa. Cold nights coming. I thought about Emma and Jacob, about Sophie, about Linda, alone in that house, realizing too late that the man she'd mocked might be the only thing standing between her family and real hunger. The next morning, I loaded up my truck. 4 boxes. Canned vegetables, canned meats, rice, pasta, beans, powdered milk, baby formula I'd bought in bulk months ago. I'd planned to donate it if I didn't need it. Now it was going to Sophie. I added a manual can opener, just in case Linda didn't have one that worked without electricity. I drove across town to the house I used to live in, the blue 2-story with the white shutters, the tree in the front yard that I planted the year Jacob turned 10. I remembered him helping me dig the hole, his small hands gripping the shovel, determined to do it right. Linda opened the door before I could knock. She looked different, thinner. Her face was drawn, eyes red and puffy. She'd been crying. Her hair, usually styled perfectly, hung limp around her shoulders. She wore sweatpants and an old t-shirt. I'd never seen her like this. Not in all the years we were together. Steve, she whispered. Her voice was hoarse. I carried the boxes inside one by one, setting them on the kitchen counter. Linda stood in the doorway, arms wrapped around herself, watching. When I brought in the last box, she stepped forward. Her hand reached out, trembling, and touched the top of the box. This is so much. It's enough for a few weeks, I said. Ration it carefully. Cook the rice and beans together. It'll stretch further. The formula is for Sophie. Don't let Emma dilute it. Full strength. Linda nodded, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, she said again. I'm so sorry for what I said, for what I posted, for everything. I looked at her, really looked at her. This woman I'd shared 15 years of my life with. We'd had good times once, before the resentment, before the divorce, before she decided that my way of living was a sickness instead of wisdom. Linda, I said quietly, I didn't do this to prove a point. I did it because those kids don't deserve to suffer. And neither do you. She broke down then, sobbing into her hands. I stood there, awkward, unsure whether to comfort her or leave. I chose to leave. Some wounds are too deep for a single act of kindness to heal. Over the next 3 days, word spread. Not through Facebook this time. Through desperate phone calls and hushed conversations at the few gas stations still operating. Emma called me, then Jacob, then neighbors I hadn't spoken to in years. "Steve, do you have any food you could spare?" The voices were different, but the desperation was the same. Raw, real. The kind of need that strips away every pretense and leaves only survival. I helped where I could. A family down the street with 3 small children. An elderly couple who lived alone, their social security check useless when there was nothing to buy. A single mother whose son had diabetes and needed consistent meals to manage his insulin. I gave what I could spare without jeopardizing my own long-term security, because that's the thing people don't understand about preparation. It's not about hoarding. It's about being able to help when the world falls apart. But the crisis didn't end in 3 days. It didn't end in a week. The supply chain was more damaged than anyone predicted. The cyber attack had corrupted critical logistics software across multiple companies. Shipments were rerouted to wrong locations. Trucks sat idle because drivers couldn't access their routes. Payment systems froze, leaving suppliers unable to process orders even when inventory existed. The entire system, built on efficiency and just-in-time delivery, collapsed like a house of cards. By the 3rd week, Cedar Rapids looked like a different town. The grocery store parking lots were empty, except for a few cars belonging to employees who showed up, even though there was nothing to sell. Gas stations had lines that stretched for blocks, and fights broke out over the last few gallons. The police were overwhelmed. I heard sirens constantly, day and night. People were scared, and scared people do desperate things. I kept my head down. I didn't advertise what I had. I'd learned that lesson from Linda's Facebook post. When you have what others need, you become a target. So I helped quietly. I'd drop off supplies at night, leaving them on doorsteps with a simple note. From a friend. No name, no expectation of thanks. But secrets don't stay secret for long in a small town. On day 23 of the crisis, there was a knock on my door. 3 sharp raps, insistent. I looked through the peephole and saw a man I recognized. Derek, Linda's boyfriend, the guy she'd started dating 6 months after our divorce. Tall, fit, worked in finance, always wore expensive suits and drove a BMW. The kind of man who'd look at my basement stockpile and call it paranoid. I opened the door. Derek stood there, hands in his pockets, looking uncomfortable. His designer jeans were dirty. His face was unshaven, gaunt. He'd lost weight. We all had. "Steve," he said, his voice careful, measured. "Can I talk to you?" I stepped aside and let him in. We sat in my living room. The same lamp, the same recliner, but everything felt different now. The world outside had changed, and we both knew it. Derek cleared his throat. "I'm here to thank you for helping Linda and the kids." He paused, his jaw working like he was chewing on words he didn't want to say. "I was wrong about you. We all were." I didn't respond. I just waited. "I saw that post Linda made," he continued. "I even commented on it. Called you a doomsday nut. Made a joke about tin foil hats." He laughed, but it was bitter, hollow. "And now here I am coming to you because you're the only person in this entire town who saw this coming, who actually prepared." "I didn't see this specific crisis coming," I said. "I just knew that something would happen eventually. It always does. Hurricanes, floods, pandemics, economic collapse, the specifics don't matter. The principle is the same. Be ready." Derek nodded slowly. Linda took down the post, wrote a public apology. "Did you see it?" I shook my head. "I'd deleted Facebook 2 weeks ago. Didn't need the distraction. She said you were the smartest man she'd ever known, that she was a fool for not listening, that you saved her family when no one else could." Derek looked at me directly now, and I saw something in his eyes I didn't expect. Respect. "She's not the only one saying it. Half the town is talking about you, about how you've been helping people." "I'm just doing what anyone should do," I said. "No," Derek said firmly. "You're doing what almost no one actually does. You prepared when it was inconvenient. You saved when it was expensive. You shared when you could have kept everything for yourself." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "People want to learn from you, Steve. They want to know how to do what you did, how to never feel this helpless again." I studied him. This man who'd replaced me in Linda's life, who'd lived in my house, slept in my bed, played father to my kids. I should have resented him, but I didn't, because right now in this moment he wasn't my replacement. He was just another human being trying to survive and asking for help. "Tell them to start small," I said. "Every time they go to the store, buy 1 extra can of something, 1 extra bag of rice, 1 extra box of pasta. build slowly, and most importantly, learn skills. How to cook from scratch, how to preserve food, how to fix things instead of replacing them. Preparation isn't about buying stuff. It's about becoming resilient. Derek pulled out his phone. Can I record this? People need to hear it. I hesitated, then nodded. Because maybe, just maybe, if something good could come from this nightmare, it would be people waking up to reality. The video Derek posted that night went viral, not in a mocking way this time, in a way that mattered. Within 48 hours, I had over 300 messages, people asking questions, wanting guidance, begging for help. I couldn't respond to them all, but I tried. Emma called me on day 27. "Dad," she said, and my heart clenched because she hadn't called me that in almost a year. "I want to learn. I want you to teach me everything you know. I don't ever want Sophie to go through this again. I don't want to feel this helpless." We started meeting every afternoon. Emma, Jacob, and a growing group of neighbors. I taught them how to can vegetables, how to make bread from scratch, how to purify water, how to rotate stock, how to budget and plan and think 3 steps ahead. They listened with an intensity I'd never seen before, because now they understood, now they knew. Linda came to one of the sessions. She stood in the back, quiet, taking notes. Afterward, she approached me. "Steve, I need to tell you something." Her voice was steady now, stronger than it had been in weeks. "I'm stepping down as president of the neighborhood association." I raised an eyebrow. Linda had been president for 5 years. She loved that position, the authority, the recognition. "I'm recommending you take over," she said. "I'm recommending we form a community preparedness committee, and I'm asking you to lead it." I stared at her. "Linda, I'm not a leader. I'm just a guy who—" "You're exactly what this community needs," she interrupted. "And I think, deep down, you always were. I just couldn't see it. I was too busy being embarrassed by what you represented. Embarrassed that you didn't fit the image I wanted. But you were right, Steve, about all of it. And now people are listening. Don't waste this moment." On day 34, the supply chain began to recover. Slowly, painfully. Trucks started arriving at the grocery stores. Shelves started to fill. Not completely, not like before, but enough. Enough that people stopped panicking. Enough that they could breathe again. But something had fundamentally shifted in Cedar Rapids. People didn't forget. They couldn't forget. They'd felt real hunger, real fear, real desperation, and they'd learned that the systems they trusted could fail, that the safety net they believed in was full of holes. The first meeting of the Community Preparedness Committee was held in the church basement where Linda and I got married. 73 people showed up. I stood at the front, feeling the weight of their eyes on me. The same eyes that had mocked me 6 weeks ago. Now they were looking at me like I had answers. I spoke simply, honestly. I told them about my childhood, about my grandfather who lived through the Dust Bowl and taught me that hard times come in cycles, that the good times don't last forever, and neither do the bad, but you have to be ready for both. I told them about the small steps they could take, the practical, unglamorous work of building resilience, and I told them that we'd do it together, as a community, because individual preparation is good, but community preparation is what saves lives. We established a community food bank, not like the government-run ones that depended on donations and bureaucracy. This one was built on contribution and reciprocity. Everyone who took from it had to put something back, even if it was just labor or skills. We set up workshops: canning, gardening, basic carpentry, first aid, financial planning. People shared knowledge freely because they'd learned the hard way that knowledge is the most valuable resource of all. Emma became the coordinator for family preparedness education. Jacob managed the community garden project, converting 3 empty lots into vegetable plots. Derek, surprisingly, took charge of financial literacy classes, teaching people how to budget and save for emergencies. And Linda, to her credit, worked tirelessly behind the scenes, organizing volunteers and managing logistics. 4 months after the crisis began, on a cold January evening, I stood in my basement looking at my shelves. They were less full now. I'd given so much away, but I didn't feel depleted. I felt something else, something I hadn't felt in years. Purpose. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. "Sophie's first birthday party next week. We're having it at the community garden. Everyone's bringing food they grew or preserved themselves. You started this, Dad. Come celebrate. I smiled. A real smile. The kind that reaches your eyes and settles deep in your chest. Because this, right here, was what mattered. Not being right. Not saying I told you so. But watching people learn. Watching them grow. Watching them transform from helpless consumers into capable, resilient human beings. The neighborhood association voted unanimously to rename the community garden the Prudent Plot. Linda suggested it. I tried to protest, but she wouldn't hear it. Let people remember, she said. Let them remember that one person's paranoia saved lives. That one person's preparation became everyone's salvation. On the day of Sophie's party, I arrived early. The garden was beautiful. Raised beds full of winter vegetables, a small greenhouse we'd built together, a tool shed stocked with equipment people shared freely. Children were playing in the pathways. Adults were laughing, trading recipes and seeds and stories. Emma hugged me tight. "Thank you," she whispered, "for never giving up on us, even when we gave up on you." I held my daughter, this woman I'd raised, and felt tears I didn't know I was holding start to fall. Not tears of sadness, tears of gratitude, because sometimes being proven right isn't the victory. Sometimes the real victory is watching the people you love learn to stand on their own 2 feet. Linda approached with Sophie in her arms. The baby reached for me, and I took her, feeling her small weight against my chest. "Say hi to Grandpa Steve," Linda said softly. Then to me, "I posted something new yesterday. Did you see it?" I shook my head. I still wasn't on Facebook. She pulled out her phone and showed me. It was a long post, thousands of words. Titled, "I called my ex-husband mentally ill. He saved my family. Here's what I learned about pride, preparedness, and redemption." The post was raw, honest, brutal in its self-examination. Linda didn't spare herself. She detailed every mocking comment, every eye roll, every dismissive word. And then she described the phone call, the shame, the hunger, the moment she realized that the man she'd humiliated was the only person who could help her children. But the post didn't end there. It continued, describing the transformation of our community, the workshops, the garden, the committee. And it ended with a challenge. Stop mocking the people who prepare. Stop calling caution paranoia. Stop mistaking pride for wisdom. Because one day you might need the person you're laughing at, and I pray they have the grace my ex-husband had, the grace to help anyway. The post had been shared 14,000 times. The comments were overwhelming. People from all over the country sharing their own stories, their own wake-up calls, their own journeys from mockery to understanding. I handed the phone back to Linda. "Thank you," I said simply. "No," she replied, tears in her eyes. "Thank you for being the kind of man who helps even when he's been hurt, for teaching our kids what real strength looks like, for showing this community what it means to be truly prudent." As the sun set over the Prudent Plot, I watched children play in soil we'd prepared together, eating food we'd grown together, surrounded by people who'd learned that preparation wasn't paranoia. It was love. Love for your family, love for your community, love for the future. And I realized that this was always what I'd been preparing for, not the crisis itself, but the opportunity to help when the crisis came. Because in the end, that's what preparation really is. It's not about being right. It's about being ready, ready to serve, ready to give, ready to show people that even in the darkest times, even when the shelves are empty and hope is scarce, there's always a way forward if you've planned for it. The kids called me over to help light the candles on Sophie's birthday cake. Emma had made it from scratch using flour I'd taught her to store properly. As I walked toward them, past rows of vegetables and smiling faces, and a community that had been reborn from desperation, I thought about my grandfather, about the lessons he'd taught me, about the wisdom that comes from understanding that the world is fragile and beautiful and terrifying and wonderful all at once. And I thought about how sometimes the people who call you crazy are just people who haven't faced the storm yet. But when they do face it, and when you're standing there with an umbrella big enough for both of you, that's when everything changes. That's when mockery becomes respect. That's when paranoia becomes prudence. That's when one man's basement full of cans becomes a community's lifeline. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been mocked for being prepared, or if you've ever learned the hard way that caution isn't cowardice, Leave a comment sharing what moment in your life taught you the value of preparedness. Subscribe to this channel to follow stories that challenge assumptions and celebrate wisdom over pride. Like this video and share it with someone who needs to understand that in life, prudence and preparation can be the greatest virtues of all.